Good morning, God. Good morning, all. Can we say that together? Good morning, God. Good morning, all. Yes, wonderful. I greet you in peace, love, and joy. My name is Fran Daniels, religious science practitioner emeritus here at Miracle Center for Spiritual Living, 2653 South Taylor Road in the lovely Cleveland Heights, Ohio. Yes, all is well. What a beautiful, beautiful day. Especially we had all that rain yesterday. So today is just beautiful. The sun is out shining and whew, all is well. Our monthly theme this morning is the power of vulnerability. And the weekly topic title is No Approval Needed. So with that being said, I invite you to join me as we magnify the presence of spirit, the action of spirit in this morning's service. So as we relax into that position with closed eyes and open heart, recognizing the presence of God, the attributes of spirit, which is divine love, infinite intelligence, magnificent good, wholeness, total support, total power. As we identify with these characteristics of spirit, we see all that action, all that spiritual love flowing through this morning's service. Flowing as infinite intelligence. Flowing as divine inspiration. Flowing as knowledge, peace, love, and joy. So it is in this presence we welcome spirit, individually and collectively. And we bless our board of trustees as they handle the business of this church. We bless the ladies that serve after our morning service. We bless our ushers as they greet individuals coming in love. We bless our musicians in the form of Gilbert, Zachary, and others. We bless our tech man in the form of Chris. We bless our practitioners as they stand on the truth that God is. God is our inexhaustible supply. That God and I are one. That right where I am, God is. So it is all this blessing this morning that we feel spirit, we see spirit, we understand spirit, we unify with spirit. For the only thing that is taking place in this morning service is spirit. We bless our mouthpiece of spirit this morning in the form of Reverend Teresa Slusher as she brings us those words of information, those words of inspiration, those words of divine love. And yes, we bless each one of you, including myself, as we allow spirit to move through us in a very special way this morning. We bless every entity, every life, every living thing that God has created this morning. No matter how minute, how big, how strong, everything, every living thing is blessed this morning from this word. So, Father, I give great thanks that this action is taking place right here, right now. And if you're in agreement with me, simply affirm with me, and so it is, and so I let it be. Amen. Thank you, Gilbert, again. As we move to our program, seeing and being seen can be our greatest challenge, yet our greatest desire. So how can we do both? You guessed it. Both take a willingness to be vulnerable, which then in turn can open the door to a life lived out loud. Wow. How many of you want your life to be lived out loud? Let's raise a hand. Lived out loud. And the affirmation is, I allow myself to see and be seen. Can you repeat that with me? I allow myself to see and be seen. Our monthly theme summary. This month is an exploration of the power of vulnerability. We will embark on this journey with the key step of defining and gaining clarity around just what vulnerability is and why it is important. We will explore what often gets in the way of being vulnerable and what steps we can take to navigate this path. Vulnerability is a key ingredient in our own personal transformation, as it creates an expanded awareness of what lies just below the surface. As we look at vulnerability through this lens, we will begin to see how vulnerability is a building block for a thriving and healthy community. We will end the month with a focus on how we can harness the power of vulnerability in living a life that is full of possibility, a life that is lived out loud. Wow. In our Science of Mind point of view, Ernest Holmes wrote, "We believe in God, the living spirit, almighty, one independent, absolute, and self-existent cause. This one manifests itself in and through all creation, but is not absorbed by its creation. The manifest universe is the body of God. It is the logical and necessary outcome of the infinite self-knowingness of God." That's a declaration of principles. Science of Mind teaches the universal principle of oneness. Now, oneness does not mean sameness. Instead, it is an understanding that the manifest world is the individualized expression of the one. As part of this manifest world, we each are our own unique configuration of the divine expressing in this moment. When we are able to fully grasp this understanding, we can more clearly recognize this truth in others. It is in this recognition that we can begin to see the power of vulnerability as a way of nurturing, belonging, connection, and community. That Ernest Holmes is so smart. Yes. And now we're going to have the song, "We Are One in the Spirit." Mr. Chris, take it away. How powerful by our love. As a lot of you know, I've always worked with the public, and it makes me feel real good when someone comes in angry and mean, and after we talk, they leave with a smile. And that's just an expression of love. Love them no matter where they are. So now, to carry on and to get this exciting message, let me bring forth our very own Reverend Teresa Slusher, and her message is vulnerability, seeing and being seen. Reverend Teresa, take it away.
Thank you, Fran. And I have got to tell you, Fran, that I love it how you always bring in your perspective on the reading of our point of view, of a Science of Mind point of view, and how you always bring in like a little personal tidbit that really demonstrates. So without further ado, I know that Fran did say that the title was No Approval Needed in the beginning, but I made a mistake and I apologize, because the title is Seen and Being Seen, which Fran also let us know that that is the actual title. And I just, you know, that song that just played, it's just a great old time folk song. And, you know, I presume that it is a Christian song, And then yet not all peoples are Christian. And however, as religious scientists and as religious science of mind practitioners, we do teach there is only one. We teach that we are sourced by the great divine source that sources us all. And we are the manifested body of the one divine source, the omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent. We do live and move and have our being in the one spirit, moving in time and space, yet beyond time and space. We are one human race. Each of us showing up as the individuated and the many bodies of the one. Yes, we are one in the spirit. And you know, interestingly enough, I had to look up what the word Christian really means. And did you know that it means anointed one? We are the anointed. Even before Jesus Christ walked the earth, we were Christian. I just thought that that was really interesting to discover. And the truth is, as individuated oneness, we come together to form a created community. Community is where we share in a feeling of fellowship. We share common attitudes, interests, and goals. We come together in a spirit of community as we volunteer, we create goodwill towards another, and we are willing to participate in our community activities. As people, we create communities everywhere. In our community here at Miracle Center, we create community by having classes, fundraisers, through prayer work, and even during Sunday service. We walk with each other, we work with each other, and we have fun together. But I ask, are we a healthy community? Well, I like to say, yes, we are a healthy community, because a healthy community is that which nourishes us, strengthens us, and supports us in all that we do within our community. Now, I know last month we talked a little bit about, well, pretty much about authenticity, you know, being genuine, and how authenticity helps to build healthy relationships. And when we are healthy in relationships, then our loving community is also healthy. Well, today we're going to take a look at vulnerability. We're going to explore building a healthy community through vulnerability, and how vulnerability is a building block for a thriving and healthy community. Now, you know, being vulnerable is the quality or state of being exposed to the possibility of being attacked or harmed, either physically or emotionally. And I would say, if this is the meaning of vulnerability, you might question how being vulnerable is a building block for a thriving and healthy community. I question it myself. I say, are you really asking me to be vulnerable, to be open to criticism, perhaps drudging up my feelings of not good enough? Are you really asking me to open myself up to judgment, maybe ostracized, disliked, or even excluded? See, being vulnerable means being in a position where other people can hurt you. Vulnerability can also stem from criticism from those who are the most important figures in our life. Typically, that would have been our mother, father, our siblings, our spouses, and even some of our friends. And I sometimes think our well-intentioned family members are our biggest critics. How many of us have been told by our parents, siblings, teachers, friends, we're doing something the wrong way? Our grades aren't good enough, or what we think and what we feel is wrong. And how many of us have heard, oh my God, what would the neighbors think? Your behavior is atrocious. However, this hurt can impact a person's mental health and lead to low self-esteem. And so we have learned to hide our true selves to avoid the hurt and the pain that hurt brings us. And in doing so, we lose self-confidence and our self-esteem suffers. See, being vulnerable often means expressing the sides of yourself about which you have the least confidence of or certainty, and giving credence to how others respond to them. But let's look at it this way. We are most vulnerable when we are babies. And we are the most authentic when we are babies, because there's nothing to fear. And as children, our minds are impressionable. We believe just about anyone and anything we are told, even the lies they tell. And we make the lies true because we don't know any better. We trusted those who are bigger, stronger, smarter, prettier. We believed they knew better. And this is where we begin to create many of our problems. In our belief system, in our mind. This is where we believe we are not enough or worthy enough. Our self-esteem, our ego is bruised. And so we begin our life of drama, of not enough, feelings of inadequacy and worthlessness. Life becomes survival of the fittest, where we too begin to tell lies. And yet, being vulnerable is the admission that we have been living in the lies. Who do we admit this to? We admit it to ourselves first. And then if we so choose, we have the courage, we can let others know. Basically, we clean the slate. We begin to live from our authentic selves. It's not about saying or admitting what is wrong with you, because there is nothing wrong with you. It is about exposing the lies that you've bought into. A confession, if you will. And when you can accept vulnerability, you may find that you experience important emotional benefits, like greater strength. Greater strength is putting yourself into situations where you feel vulnerable and can be a way to gain confidence and belief in your ability to handle challenging situations. And this can help make you more resilient in the face of life's difficulties. How many times have you been brave enough to let someone know how you feel? And then you discovered that maybe they felt the same way. And so your confidence grows. And you can build stronger relationships by being vulnerable. Being vulnerable with others is a way to foster intimacy. It can deepen your compassion, your empathy, and connection to everyone in your life. And in vulnerability, you have improved self-acceptance. You can see and accept yourself. Embrace the different aspects of yourself. Again, this fosters great confidence and authenticity. So in community, we seek connection and belonging. And a healthy community is a safe space and affirming place where everyone around us can be their authentic self. It also gives us the courage to be vulnerable. Your vulnerability impacts our community just as much as your authenticity. There is a power in vulnerability. And this power is one of the most freeing, integral factors in the equation of creating a healthy, thriving, vibrant you. And when you are healthy, thriving, and vibrant, so is our community. Perhaps the first step into your vulnerability is to know yourself through self-reflection, not just the parts that you deem good, but the parts that have been in hiding behind your fears, your whole self. You know, the parts that feel unloved, the dark side of us, perhaps. Everyone has flaws. Everyone has imperfections. And everyone has embarrassing stories, past mistakes that they all wish they could forget. People, and we're people, are insecure, awkward, and desperately wishing they could change certain things. That's just human nature. And when we realize that everyone feels this way at times, no matter how successful, how beautiful, how perfect someone appears, we all have the same awkwardness, insecurity, and self-doubt because we all go through childhood. And the second step, embrace every aspect of who you are. Love yourself. Learn to love and accept your whole authentic self. Loving yourself, it can be tough. So be compassionate and understanding, kind and gentle with yourself. And when we are compassionate and understanding, kind and genuine with ourselves, we are compassionate and understanding, kind and genuine with others. What you do to you is what you will do to others. So be kind to yourself. Be gentle with yourself. I know a couple talks back, we mentioned Brene Brown. She's a psychologist in human emotion or whatever. But in a few, in one of her books called The Gifts of Imperfection, she states, we cultivate love when we allow our most vulnerable and powerful selves to be deeply seen and known. And when we honor the spiritual connection that grows from that offering with trust, respect, kindness, and affection. So give yourself compassion. Remind yourself of how brave you are to be vulnerable, no matter how small it seems. But just as we have learned to hide and cower behind our hurt and pain, we must learn to free ourselves from that hurt and pain. We must learn to nurture our vulnerability. When we can learn to nurture vulnerability in ourselves, we can empower others. And when we are empowered, we're the way shower, we're setting the example. Our empowered selves will help empower our community and others in our community. When we nurture our vulnerability, we create a positive circle of friends and family. We grow in our courage to try new things. A new fundraiser, a new idea is explored and it's allowed to blossom and grow. We are able to step outside of our comfort zone. And this helps to boost our self-worth. This helps to boost our community's self-worth through our successes. When we are loving and kind to oneself, we foster a community of love and compassion where vulnerability and authenticity is nurtured. So what does vulnerability look like, really? What does it really look like? It is about taking chances that might lead to rejection. That's risky. It is talking about mistakes you have made. That can be upsetting. It is about sharing personal information that you normally keep private. No, I'm not asking you to share all of your personal information, living out loud with everyone, but find someone that you feel comfortable with because it takes courage. And as I said before, you might find that they have the same, not exact story, but the same type of story. Vulnerability is feeling your difficult emotions, such as shame, grief, fear. Yeah, it's painful. And vulnerability is reconnecting with someone you have fallen out with. It's uncertain. You don't know what's going to happen. So being honest about what you need in a relationship is being vulnerable. Include letting them know your boundaries and your expectations. It can all be very scary to step out and say, I don't want this anymore, or I don't need this in my life anymore, when for years you've been allowing them to do that. So being vulnerable takes personal reflection, responsibility, and confession. This sometimes means saying, well, I really messed up there, or I'm sorry, I should have listened or communicated differently. It's allowing yourself to be seen. When you can be vulnerable, real, genuine, as I said, you do empower others to do the same. You know, it is the ego that puts up the defenses out of fear. Release the fear and embrace the love that you are. When we come from love, miracles happen. And we are a miracle center. And we are a loving community. And this is a safe place. And you are a vital, essential member of this community. And so are they. This level of vulnerability requires us to be willing to see life from a wide variety of angles and understand how our thoughts, words, and actions may directly impact others. Take a few seconds right now to reflect on some old frameworks, some old ideas, some limiting beliefs, biases that you've been carrying around with you. And we do this sometimes on a daily basis. What are those frameworks and ideas? And then look at your feelings around this, and then just embrace that dark side, the side that has been hiding in the shadows. Love it and expand your self-awareness, your self-knowingness, and empower yourself. Open up your hearts and be courageous. Be willing to share with another your dark side, where your fears like to hang out. And when you do, be intentional. Share with purpose to connect and respect your perspective and the other's perspectives. This will serve to bolster a sense of connection and belonging. There's a saying, home is where the heart is. Home is where we feel most connected to our family members, to those that we know love us and care for us. But home is also where we have found the dark side can flourish. So just open your heart and share in a heart-centered space. And if you think that loving all of oneself is tough, what might be even tougher is to love others without judgment or compassion. How many times do we take our finger and point it? Put that finger down and just embrace the person for who they are. Learn to see yourself and others through the eyes of love. See others in what is called present moment eyes. Not how you think they should be, but as they truly are, without judgment or comparison. This can be difficult because we have been so conditioned to see how we think things should be instead of how they truly are. Present moment eyes. See not through the lens of judgment or comparison, but instead through the gentle gaze of awareness. That just like us, each person we see is a unique expression of the one. When we begin to practice seeing others in this way, the result is the creation of communities and spaces where we are all invited to show up authentically, messiness and all. We are then called to recognize the challenges to vulnerability that may arise and address them head on without downplaying, bypassing, or ignoring. No one wants anyone's back to be turned on them. So turn around and look and see without judgment. Through this, we create a vibration of acceptance, a vibration of acceptance, a vibration of honor and respect, which invites and makes space for more vulnerability. Louise Hay says that if I want to be accepted as I am, then I need to be willing to accept others as they are. So there's like 6 things we can do to help us accept vulnerability. 1 would be avoid focusing on other people's opinions of you. What they think about you is none of your business. Also, you might want to slow down if you need to assess, to find out, to self-reflect, to know yourself, and to set your intention. And 3, this is probably really difficult for a lot of people, but that is give up perfection. You know, we say that no one's perfect. But we try to strive for perfection. But there's no one perfect person unless you say you're perfect just the way you are. So give up perfection, give it up, and just be perfect the way you are. And then be forthcoming with your needs. Let others know what you think and what you feel. Don't go barging in, but go in with love and set your boundaries. Let them know. And that would be 5, to vocalize your feelings. Let them know how you feel. And probably most importantly would be number 6. And that is to be in the moment, to be fully present and be in the moment. The interesting thing about vulnerability, when we allow ourselves to be seen, we invite others to do the same. In this exchange, we can find a beautiful way to create communities that nurture vulnerability, connection, and belonging. This is not achieved with words alone, but through intentional action. So be intentional. This is not to say that we will always get it right. We do make mistakes, but that's part of being vulnerable. And that's part of admitting, I'm sorry, but I made a mistake. Vulnerability makes space for us to try. We may miss the mark, we might sin, but we can open that door for, again, reflection, and then just try it again. Vulnerability invites us to listen, not waiting for the opportunity to fix or prove prove ourselves right. Nobody's right or wrong. We're just people, vulnerable people, becoming empowered, living a healthy, thriving life. Listen instead of trying to fix. Listen to understand and connect. When we are able to show up this way and create space for communities to do so, we begin to see the power of vulnerability actualized. Maybe set aside some time to have compassionate listening circles. A space where maybe 2 or more are gathered to create miracles. We can let our hair down. And we can do this today. We can do it tomorrow. We can do it next week. Set aside some time to have compassionate listening circles within our community, where we can be seen as well as see others for who they are. Non-judgment circles, a place where we can share stories and listen with open hearts and see with present moment eyes a place of safety and connection, where you have a sense of belonging. Satsang. Satsang. It's an old Sanskrit term to sit in satsang, and it's derived from sat, meaning true, and sangha, meaning community, company, or association. In our current Thursday afternoon class called Keys to Wisdom here at Miracle Center, we have been engaged in satsang. We don't call it satsang, but we show up. We bring our authentic selves and our vulnerable selves into the mix. We may not even realize we're being vulnerable when we step out and share our perspective. But we're just simply being in the company of truth, where we're gathered together with like-minded, uplifting people. During this class, and in the words of Ernest Holmes, our great founder and teacher of sciences of mind, I find what he says to be true, that we see in each other the reflection or the manifestation of the everlasting life. And each is an individualized embodiment of it, a place where we remember the kingdom of heaven is already in us and we are in it. A place where we realize that it is only as we are in harmony with it that we awake to it. I'm going to repeat that. To sit in a place where we realize that we are divine, that it is only as we are in harmony with it that we awake to it. Let us realize that we are already in harmony. And we have a reading by our reader. Who's my reader?
Everyone. Broken open by beauty. Radical presence is born out of love. And that's from Lama Rod Owens. We can so train our ears to listen to the divine harmony within that we shall reproduce its melody, rhythm, and beauty in all our ways. That's from Ernest Holmes, The Science of Mind, page 258. To fully, vulnerably human is to be broken open by a rainbow, by the golden light of early morning in the treetops, by a heroine in the creek, slowly dancing in the rising mist, by tail flickering squirrels, by gentle rain beating on your hair and face. To be truly missily human is to be present to it all, to love it all, to reveal in the mystery of all, to listen for the divine harmony that exists in, through, and as all things. If we can stand in that radical presence born out of love, then every moment is a revelation, every moment a chance for newness, for wonder, for awe. We spend our lives in busyness, trying to figure out how to do better, how to win friends and influence people, but we spend little time just being. When was the last time you just experienced life without labeling it? When was the last time you were broken open by a rainbow? When was the last time you laughed until you cried? Today, right now, put down this reading and experience life. Let your soul slow dance with delight. The affirmation for the day. Today, I let my soul be broken open by the beauty in the world. I am a radical presence born out of love. And that's from the Science of Mind magazine, page 54, Friday, April 21, 2023. And so it is, and so I simply let it be.
Thank you, Laverne. And we have a song. So let us sit back and just relish in the beauty of the music. Thank you, Chris, for bringing that up for us. Beautiful, beautiful, majestic, wonderful, terrific, all inspiring. Thanks for the feedback. So here's the deal, right? There's always a deal. Isn't there always a deal? I'm going to ask you to step out of your comfort zone today. Pull someone aside, share with them something that maybe it's been eating away at you. I don't know. Just a vulnerable moment in your life. And just do that. It could be someone in our community. It could be a phone call that you've been wanting to tell a friend something. It could be your spouse. It could be your kids. Just step out of your comfort zone and be vulnerable today. And know that vulnerability is not a one-dimensional concept, that it does require your internal awareness and external practice. So practice it a little bit at a time. You know, step out and just give it a try, give it a nudge. And just like with any new concept or activity, it definitely takes practice and then more practice. And the more you do it, you'll find yourself in Carnegie Hall, right? So we're called to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. Become more comfortable. You know, the piano players at Carnegie Hall, when they first sat down in front of a piano, it probably wasn't very comfortable. They had to move their fingers a certain way. The bench probably was a little hard on their behind, but they became eventually very comfortable with playing and then performing. So to recognize the value of vulnerability and begin to create space in our lives and our communities for it to live, we have to get out there and practice. And again, this requires looking at ourselves and others from an expanded view. See and be in the connection that is present. And just value creating that space for that connection to thrive. But it's up to you, because you are the creative being. And so you are the creator of who your environment is, your destiny is, where you're going is. So create that opportunity and show up. We're going to go ahead and take this into prayer, and then I believe we have some announcements that we need to make, and I guess Fran will be doing the benediction. And remember that in the closing of today, that your financial support, your contributions are very vitally important. Maybe go out on a limb with that today. Maybe give a little bit more, maybe $1 or $2 more than you typically do, maybe $5 or $10. Allow yourself to be financially vulnerable. Because the truth is, our community is a thriving community in many aspects, and your financial support is very vitally important to keep us thriving. So go out on a limb, be vulnerable with your heart, and with your pocketbook. So let's go ahead and take this into prayer. Take a nice deep breath, and a cleansing breath, allowing that oxygen to permeate every cell of the body. And in the out breath, releasing the CO2, anything that is burdening, any thoughts of being vulnerable, just let it go, release it. Knowing that there is only one divine source, and that we are moving in this. We are being in this one as the many individuated ones of the great one. Yes, we move and have our being in this oneness. And knowing that one is a safe place to move and be. And in knowing this, I know I am safe to show up all of me, my authentic being, my vulnerability, to let my hair down and let it out and enjoy life as me. I know this to be true for me, and I know it to be true for all beings, that the freedom is in the heart, the freedom is in the love vibration. And so I give myself to this freedom, and I speak my word for all beings that we live in a free, loving, thriving, vibrant community. And it is good, it is very good, it is godly, it is perfect in itself, right where it is, as we practice vulnerability, showing up in our truth, allowing the truth to be seen and to be heard, allowing each individual to be seen and to be heard. And it takes courage, it takes the giving of oneself to oneself in this divine circle of love. And I give thanks for the opportunity to show up. I give thanks for the opportunity to be vulnerable. I give thanks knowing that prosperity is raining down. Prosperity of love, abundance of love and joy and peace and harmony. It's raining down upon each individualized divine emanation of the one great divine source. And in this, I say thank you, thank you, thank you. And I release my words to the law, knowing it is done and done now. And together we say, and so it is.
Thank you, Reverend Teresa. Let's give her a big hand for that wonderful, inspirational message. And I say every time I'm in the pulpit, you got to come to church on Sunday. You got to get that juice for the week. Okay? Oh, I like that. Juice for the week. All right. Let me share the announcements with you. If you look in your bulletin, please remember that we have an ongoing fundraiser, I think for the next 2 weeks it is, that you have to bring your orders in. It's our flower order fundraiser. And I've got some orders. And everyone, we want you to get orders and bring them in. May the 7th is the deadline. Also, I think Reverend Teresa reminded us our discussion on Thursday, Keys to Wisdom, is so inspiring, and you just feel good to share and to hear other people share, to be vulnerable about their opinions and what have you. And also, I'd like to remind you to visit our website and listen to our podcast. Jerry Lawson has created for us a special podcast, and we have so many personal stories to share. So I invite you to go to our website and listen to our podcast. And I believe that is all. Reverend Teresa already reminded us that we have to be vulnerable in our pocketbooks as well. So if you join with me as we just, give thanks for this time that we've shared together. As we recognize that Spirit has moved so beautifully through everything that has taken place in this morning's service. It's been inspiring, it's been uplifting, it's been that truth that sets us free. So, Father, I just give thanks for all the good that has taken place this morning. I give thanks for each of you, for those that are on Zoom. I give thanks for the very life itself. So as we go forth this week, we go forth knowing that right where we are, God is. That we are divinely guarded, guided, connected, and protected. Again, praising God for the good this day and the days that follow. If you're in agreement with me, simply affirm. And so it is. Amen and amen. This concludes this morning's service. We invite you all to come to our social hall and have the goodies that the ladies have provided for us. We're joined together with the peace song.